Right, done. There we go.
I was wondering why Casey's lips
She
weren't
was
moving.
making a policy statement about our state Republicans.
Ah!
They are often backwards.
That works. That works.
Yeah, I went to a county fundraiser, it was years ago, and they print that it was a placard they put on the podium, and it was actually backwards, and they never caught it.
Brother.
I could go through the whole event.
Oops. Let's see.
Hello, I'm Eileen from Yakima, Washington, Biden delegate, 4th CD.
Welcome.
Hey, Eileen.
And I had trouble getting on too. You didn't want to hear the language.
Democrats always have proper decorum and never utilize any inappropriate language.
Oh, right.
Except when they do.
Hi all, Julian Wheeler, 10th District, Washington. It's good to be here. Hey, Tina.
Hey there.
Hi, my name is Monica Thomasy, and I am in Central Oregon, delegate for Biden, representing rural Democrats.
Hey,
And
bravo.
All right.
somebody has to mute. There's background audio from somewhere.
Monica, I think we kind of came in at the same time. Valerie Fisher, Joe Biden delegate for 37th LD. Hello, Tina and everyone.
Hello, hello.
I'm Phil Barnhart, interloper from Eugene.
Welcome,
You're
Phil.
never an interloper, Phil.
Ah, thank you.
Well, since our friend from Eugene spoke, I'll speak. I'm from Corvallis, Sami Aladropov, Biden delegate, a union member, and also Corvallis School Board Chair. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Howdy, Sammy.
And go Beavs.
Good afternoon. My name is Yvette Joseph. I am a member of the Colville tribe. And when I'm with my friends in Oregon, I'm always happy to tell them that my grandmother was from Pendleton. She was a full-blood Cayuse Umatilla Indian.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
Welcome.
she was married to my grandpa for 50 years, and she didn't want to be buried at home with him. She wanted to be buried in the Blue Mountains.
Oh,
She thought that those were heaven.
they are.
I'll jump in. Hi, I'm Deb Barnes. I am a Biden delegate from Oregon and a proud member of the Oregon Education Association.
Hey, Deb, how are you?
Welcome, Deb.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Eric Delahoy, Congressional District 3 in Portland, Oregon, Biden delegate, obviously.
Hey there. Welcome.
Hi, Alberto here from Oak Harbor, Washington, CD2, and I'm a proud veteran and Biden delegate. Go Joe.
Hi, this is Tracy Carlos. I'm a Biden delegate out of CD10, Washington, and as you can see from all the posters.
Good afternoon. My name is Veronica Williams. I'm a proud Biden delegate from CD1 in Oregon.
Hi there. My name is Joanne Fleming. Oh, sorry. I'm a proud Bernie Sanders delegate from Spokane, Washington, Congressional District 5.
Hi, Joanne. I'm Bunny Hatcher, and I'm also a Bernie delegate from Congressional District 7 in Washington State.
I'll jump in. Hi, I'll jump in. Hi, this is Eric Shire, and I'm the first deaf delegate from Washington State representing Biden for Congressional District 7.
I'm another Congressional District 7 from Washington State. My name is Lisa Rivera Smith. I'm a proud Bernie delegate.
Hi, I'm David. I'm the alternate from Portland, Oregon.
Hi, I'm Emily Gibson. I'm a proud NEA member, and as you can see, a Bernie Sanders delegate from Oregon, CD2.
I'm Leah Perkle. I'm with NCD. Bernie.
Hi, I'm Danae Evans from CD7 Washington State, Bernie delegate.
Hey, folks, if you mute after you unmute, I think that helps prevent kind of the echo. You might even be getting an echo from me right now. So we do want people to be able to jump in, but just an FYI.
Hello, I'm Carol Greeno from Oregon CD1 and a proud Biden delegate. And Harris.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Madden from CD7, Pramila's district. I'm a proud Sanders delegate and co-founder of the Environment and Climate Caucus and Economic Justice Caucuses up here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Valdez Bravo. I'm a proud Bernie delegate from CD5. Back home here, I'm vice chair of the Native American Caucus and secretary of the Veterans Caucus and delegate for the Healthcare Caucus. Really great to be here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Gamba, the mayor of Milwaukee. I'm a proud Bernie delegate and a PLEO from Oregon. Good to be here.
Hi, I'm Mike Radway. I'm a Bernie delegate, not a Bernie delegate, I'm a Biden delegate statewide in Oregon.
Hi, this is Tanya Shively, and I am a DNC member from Oregon.
Hi, everyone. So this is Candy with the Democratic Party of Oregon. I know everyone is liking to introduce themselves, but it looks like we've got just about everyone on the call. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So if our chairwoman, one moment here. We will get kicked off. And we will go ahead and mute everyone and ask our participants all to turn off their videos here. And Jonathan, do you want to make Casey a co-host so she can get us going?
All right, Casey, you're a co-host.
Okay. All right. Ready to rock and roll. Here we go. Folks, hi, I'm Casey Hansen. I'm chair of the Democratic Party of Oregon, and it's really my honor and privilege to now open up the festivities of this week with you, our friends throughout the core of the Pacific Northwest, Democrats of both Washington, Oregon. Yay, everybody. While I know it's disappointing for delegates to not participate in person, having a convention across America actually presents the opportunity to attend more national meetings with prominent activists and speakers than you would otherwise. While you won't be able to shake the hands of your favorite Democratic heroes, you can be sure to hear their every word and the words of so many activists, leaders, and thinkers. This week also presents a remarkable opportunity for our hardworking party members to attend national caucus and council meetings as if they were at the convention. So I encourage everybody to check out the convention schedule, pick out what you want to do. I know we have a sign up on our DPO website, and let's just take advantage of being able to see some great folks who are working on so many specific issues. I want to especially thank my buddy up north, Chair Tina Podolowski of Washington State, and your great staff up there for putting this together tonight. And, we're going to meet again later in the week. You guys are doing great work to the north, and, it's proud to be next door to you. And I want to give a special shout out to all our DPO staff as well. What you guys see is just the glistening tip of the iceberg. Putting this convention together has been the work of so many state party staffs, and no none are as extraordinary, I am willing to say, as the folks that we have up here in the Northwest. So for Brad, Candy, Molly, and the entire team, thank you very much. So now I would like to introduce again Valdez Bravo. He is the chair of our vice chair of our DPO Native American Caucus. He's also the former vice chair of the DPO. So Valdez, without further ado, would you please begin our land recognition?
Thank you so much, Chair Hansen. You know, my grandmother was born in South Dakota, and my family, she was a member of the Standing Rock Sioux, and we descend from a Chief Smutty Bear, a Yankton chief, who was a strong defender and believer in tribal sovereignty. He was a signer of the Treaty of 1825, the Fourth Treaty of Prairie du Chien, the Fort Laramie Treaty of 851, and the Treaty of 858. So in that respect, I'm very honored to be here to engage in national politics, representing Native American communities and voices in the tradition of my great-great-great-grandfather. So without further ado, I'll do the land acknowledgement. Today, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we are dialing in from is the traditional homelands of a diverse array of indigenous tribes and bands. Hundreds of indigenous communities made their homes in what came to be known by colonizers as Washington, Oregon, and the rest of the United States. This land is still home to vibrant Native communities representing many hundreds of different tribal nations. We recognize indigenous peoples as the traditional stewards of this land and acknowledge the enduring relationship between the land and the people since time immemorial. It is also important to move beyond acknowledgement and for each of us to reflect on our own history that brought you to this place wherever you are today. We are all responsible for understanding the history of colonization and genocide of indigenous people, and to commit to learning, building relationships, and action to support indigenous sovereignty, priorities, and actions. Lastly, it should be recognized that land acknowledgements are a starting point, not the end point of righting so many centuries of wrongs. This acknowledgement demonstrates a commitment to beginning the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. Thank you.
All right, Valdez, that was phenomenal. Hi, everybody. My name is Travis Nelson. I'm a registered nurse. I'm also a DNC member, and I'm co-chair of Oregon's delegation to the Democratic National Convention. Look, it has been a turbulent 4 years, and it is so wonderful to be gathered with you all virtually with one mission: getting out Donald Trump and getting Joe Biden elected to be our next president of the United States. So that said, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our sponsors today, and then I'll move on to an introduction of our next speaker. So we'd like to thank our platinum sponsors: U.S. Senator Ron Wyden, IBEW Local 48, IUPAT District Council 5, Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribes of Indians, Pacific Northwest Regional Council of Carpenters, UFCW Local 555, Oregon Federation of Nurses and Healthcare Professionals, Morel Inc., International Association of Machinists, King Estate Winery, and NGP Van. So for our next speaker, Tina Podladowski is the chair of the Washington State Democrats and has led her party to historic wins since taking office in 2017, expanding the Democratic coalition in Washington to flip the 8th Congressional District for the first time ever and electing the most diverse class of freshman legislators in Olympia and 2018's Blue Wave. I know Tina well. I know Tina will tell you a little more about all the wonderful work her team is doing this cycle, and I'm pleased to hand it off to Tina Podladowski. Tina?
Thank you so much, Travis, and welcome to the National Democratic Convention kickoff from the Washington State Democrats and from the Evergreen State, the 42nd state in the Union. We are so proud of our Sanders and Biden delegates, and I know that we stand united with Oregon and every other state to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. I want to give a shout out to our incredible staff at the Washington State Democrats and each and every one of our volunteers as well. Now, we love Oregon, but I'm going to brag on Washington a bit. You know, Washington is the biggest apple producer in the nation and home to the Ring of Fire, the 10 volcanoes that have helped make the diverse natural beauty of our 7 different Washington microclimates, from rainforest to high desert. And it's super hot in our state today, so it all feels like desert at this point. And occasionally, even Washingtonians got to let off a little steam, just like Mount St. Helens. Washington is home to more bald eagles, our national bird, than any other place in the country, and also the mascot of Eastern Washington University. But we have plenty of cougars, huskies, Vikings, wildcats, and gooey ducks too. And we share the mighty, mighty Columbia River, roll on Columbia, with our Oregon friends as well as a commitment with Oregon to preserving our natural environment for generations to come. Washington is home to 7.6 million people, 4.7 million registered voters, and 116 kick-ass delegates and alternates to the Democratic National Convention. We are super proud to bring the most diverse delegation ever to Milwaukee, even if virtually. You know, you might know Washington State for Boeing, Microsoft, Costco, Starbucks, and Nordstrom, but you should know us for our people and the people who work at those companies and every small business in the state. We have even more great labor unions than country, and we as a state party are labor strong. We're a part of the Washington State Labor Council, and we love our teachers, our nurses, our grocery workers, our laborers, our plumbers, our carpenters, because working people and families are what make our economies and communities work, and those are the people that we as Democrats represent. You might know Washington for the Space Needle, Mount Rainier, the Cascade Olympic Ranges, the Blue Mountains, orcas and salmon and steelhead, and the one-of-a-kind Palouse. But you also know us for Pike Place Market, Snoqualmie Falls, San Juan Island, Lake Chelan. We've got delegates from all those places. You also know our music like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Bing Crosby, Kenny G, Ann and Nancy Wilson, Hart, Slater Kenny, Macklemore, Ryan Lewis, Brandy Carlisle, and of course, Sir Mix-a-Lot, because we got back. And while we all might root for the Seahawks, Mariners, and Sounders and are waiting for someone to release the Kraken, I'm kind of partial to the Storm and Rain. Go women's sports. We've sent titans to the Senate, and Senators Warren Magnuson and Scoop Jackson, and then sent female titans to replace them when the time came, in Maria Cantwell and Patty Murray. We've got mighty Democratic representatives in the House with Pramila Jayapal, Susan Del Bene, Derek Kilmer, Rick Larson, Denny Heck, Adam Smith, Dr. Kim Schreier, and of course, we have the best governor in the country with Jay Inslee. All right, Kate Brown's going to kill me, but just a scooch. Okay, right up there with the governor. Come on, Oregon, we're with it in you this together. And we're never really sleepless in Seattle, because those twilight vampires really are everywhere, despite being 50 grades of shade in the shades of gray in the wintertime. Okay, I had to throw that in. And Frasier, somebody's waiting to hear Frasier. But really, in Washington State and our Oregon, it's the people that matter most. Here in Washington State, we're home to 29 federally recognized tribes and urban Indians, and have the largest Native American caucus in the country. In Washington, we speak 163 different languages. And we're not only connected to the rest of the world by being the most trade-dependent state in the nation, we in Washington State and Oregon welcome immigrants with open arms and open hearts, unlike this Trump administration. That's why it's so important that our state roll call speaker is both an immigrant and a refugee to represent our diverse population. At the age of 15, My-Linh Thai immigrated to Washington as a Vietnamese refugee with her family. She graduated with honors from the University of Washington School of Pharmacy and is proud to be the first refugee elected to serve in the Washington State House of Representatives. Go Representative Thai. As state party chair, I am especially proud now to introduce my congressional representative, another immigrant who is a powerful and national progressive voice. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal is serving her second term in Congress, representing Washington's 7th district, and she has made the most of every moment of her time in Congress. Just ask Bill Barr about that. She's the first South Asian American woman elected to the U.S. House of Representatives and only one of 14 naturalized citizens currently serving in the U.S. Congress. She's a member of the House Judiciary Committee, and don't the Republicans know it, where she also serves as vice chair of the Immigration Subcommittee and on the House Education, Labor, and Budget Committees. She's also the elected co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which represents approximately 40% of the entire Democratic caucus, the Immigration Subcommittee chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific Caucus, and also vice chair of the Congressional LGBTQ Equality Caucus. Congresswoman Jayapal has been a leader on immigration, including fighting the Trump administration's beyond inhumane policies of separating children from their parents and crafting legislation to help expand legal immigration in America. She's championed legislation to address income inequality, such as a $15 an hour minimum wage and expanding collective bargaining rights for workers. That's what Democrats stand for. She's also worked extensively on healthcare issues as the lead sponsor in the House for Medicare for All, worked as part of the teams that were working together to advise Vice President Biden on issues related to health and was the co-chair of that committee. And she's the author of the College for All Act. Representative Jayapal was born in India, grew up in India, Indonesia, and Singapore, and came by herself to the United States at age 16 to attend college at Georgetown. She later received her MBA from Northwestern and has worked in a number of industries in both the public and private sector, and published her first book in 2000 called Pilgrimage to India, A Woman Revisits Her Homeland. But ultimately, she represents and embodies the best of who we are as Democrats. Her second book, Use the Power You Have, A Brown Woman's Guide to Politics and Political Change, is a must for every person of color looking to lead, and a primer for every white ally on how we can truly achieve an inclusive America that works for each and every one of us. That starts, white allies, by getting out of the way. So let me get out of the way and turn the mic over to someone I am so proud to have as my congressional representative, the one, the only, the honorable Pramila Jayapal.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Tina, for that introduction. But most of all, thank you for the fantastic work you do as our phenomenal Washington State Party chair. And I am so grateful to the whole Washington Democratic Organization for everything. And hello, Democrats of Oregon and Washington. You got an incredible introduction to me, so I'm not going to waste any more time on that, except to say that I am the first person of color the Democrats in Washington State have ever sent to Congress. And yes, a very proud immigrant. I want to thank all of you enormously, all of the delegates, for stepping up to represent your communities throughout Oregon and Washington. You make us so proud. All progress, all change, every bit of our ability to take back our country starts with you as we work to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. Now, for two decades before becoming first a Washington State Senator and then a member of Congress, before co-chairing the Congressional Progressive Caucus, before becoming the National Health Policy Chair for Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign, and before serving as the co-chair of the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force on Healthcare, I was an organizer. Yep, a community organizer. And I organized throughout the Pacific Northwest for immigrant, civil, and human rights, for economic, racial, and gender justice. And so I know the fierce history of our two states. I know of the incredible champions who came before us, who worked on the ground to push the moral arc of the universe ever closer towards justice. And I know of the hard-fought victories that advocates and activists have secured through organizing. Washington was the first state to tie minimum wage to inflation, and our two states, Washington and Oregon, have led the way on workers' rights because of a fantastic labor movement and community set of organizations. A $15 minimum wage, collective bargaining, paid leave, equal pay, and worker protections. We have led the way on the environment, centering environmental justice, transitioning to clean and renewable energy, investing in the resources to secure clean air and safe drinking water, and always expanding our public lands. We have led the way on healthcare, expanding Medicaid, protecting the right to choose, and taking on prescription drug prices. We have led the way on immigration, creating a hate-free zone, championing immigrant rights, expanding opportunities for those who contribute so much to our communities, fighting back against ICE across our 2 states, and filing lawsuits against xenophobic actions at the federal level. We have led the way on justice reform too, taking transformative first steps, decriminalizing cannabis, and focusing on diversion and rehabilitation over incarceration. And yes, we have led on voting rights, launching innovative, universal vote by mail programs, registering more voters automatically, and making it easier to have our voices heard and our votes counted. And trust me, we will be fierce in protecting the Postal Service from Trump's attacks, but also our collective right to cast our ballots by mail and have them count for our democracy. But delegates, we all know that our work is more important than ever. Everything is on the line. And so we have to organize and lead the way for the rest of the country as we have always done. We have to build our power, our strength, and our unity against the most xenophobic, racist, constitution-destroying president we have seen in modern history. And if we are going to do that well, it is going to take organizing and building a robust, diverse, widespread coalition where every single one of us does everything that we can to get every voter to the polls. Now, whether you supported Bernie Sanders in the primary, as I proudly did, whether you supported Vice President Biden, or whether you supported one of the many, many diverse candidates, this now comes down to how we unite our power so that we can take back our country and shape our future. Because I can tell you this, absolutely no progress, nothing that any of us want is possible with Trump in the White House. We have to get him out. And I know we all agree on that, but we also agree on so much more. Strength emerges from times of crisis. This isn't just about opposing Donald Trump. It's about proposing the path forward and fulfilling the promise of America, the promise of finally securing universal health care in this country, guaranteed to everyone as a human right, everyone in and nobody out, something that is ever more urgent as a virus has taken more American lives than we lost during World War I and the Vietnam War, and tens of millions of Americans remain uninsured or underinsured. The promise of an economy that works for everyone, not just the powerful, the wealthy, and the well-connected. The promise of humane and just immigration reform that finally brings millions out of the shadows, keeps families together, and celebrates the dignity, humanity, hard work, and contributions of immigrants who are central to who we are as a nation. The promise of a renewable energy future that centers on environmental justice and protects the rights of our Indigenous communities across our 2 states and across the country. The promise of a country that achieves full equality for LGBTQ+ people, expands Social Security, secures voting rights, ends gun violence, and invests in public education and making higher education affordable again. The promise that recognizes my rights as a woman to make choices about my own body, and the promise of a truly just country that finally takes on white supremacy and anti-Blackness in America in every institution and reimagines community safety in a justice system that is actually about justice for all. That is what this election is about. It is about the soul of America, the heart of America, and the goodness of our country, even as Trump and his cronies have tried to hijack it. But we've got news for them. They have not succeeded. You are the antidote to their injustices and their cruelty. Washington and Oregon are the antidote. We are the anti-Trump. We are the tip of the movement across rural and urban America that fights for people, a movement that does not just follow public opinion, but actually leads it. So today, delegates, let's commit to that future, to doing everything possible to elect Vice President Biden and Senator Harris as our next president and vice president, to organizing on the ground so that we get the biggest voter turnout in the history of our country, that every community across America feels seen and heard and energized to take back the White House and the Senate, to expand our House majority, and to elect progressive champions up and down the ballot. That is what it means to be a Democrat. And that's what it means to be in this fight. A fight that I'm so proud to be in alongside you. Let me close with this. I came to the United States by myself at the age of 16 with nothing in my pockets because my parents believed in the promise of America, so much so that they sent their kid across the ocean, knowing that they may never live on the same continent as me again. And in fact, that's what's happened. I founded the largest immigrant rights organization in our state. I pushed for racial and economic justice, was on the committee that made Seattle the first major city to pass a $15 minimum wage. And today I sit as one of only 14 members of Congress who are immigrants, and one of only 79 out of 11,000 people that have ever served in the United States Congress, only 79 women of color who have ever served, and as the proud mother of a non-binary child. So I am here to tell you that I will never stop fighting alongside you to ensure that everyone in Washington, Oregon, and across America receive the opportunity and the respect we all deserve. So thank you for everything you're doing to help America lead again, and thank you for never backing down. And now I have the pleasure of introducing someone who thankfully has never backed down himself, and that is Senator Jeff Merkley. Senator Merkley and I were two of the very first officials to go down to the southern border and raise awareness about this administration cruelly separating families and caging children. Senator Merkley has been a phenomenal and stalwart progressive champion. He has fought for immigration rights, for equality, for economic justice. He's been a champion for guaranteeing healthcare as a human right. He's a co-sponsor of the Medicare for All Act in the Senate. He is a true leader on climate justice, constantly keeping the pressure on his colleagues to end our disastrous dependence on fossil fuels at a time when we need to be transitioning to a renewable energy future. And of course, Senator Merkley has been a bold voice as we fight to secure additional COVID-19 relief, fighting to extend the $600 a week of expanded unemployment assistance, to renew eviction moratoriums, to send out additional stimulus checks, to fund the U.S. Postal Service and our elections, and to robustly invest in testing and contact tracing. He is a friend, a colleague, and a champion, not only for Oregon, but for all of us who believe that justice is possible. Thank you. And Jeff, let me turn it over to you.
Now I can unmute. Okay, great. So thank you so much, Pramila. And everyone, raise your hands. I know we're a little bit silenced in many cases, but that was just an awesome presentation of the battle that lies before us and the change that we can make. Thank you so much for your work on and championship of so many issues to put America back on track, Pramila. Now we have to actually accomplish it. We are in this very dark and dangerous time. This time when we're assaulted by one virus, that's COVID-19, and another virus, which is racism. A time in which we have this intense economic implosion where about half folks in America who earn less than $40,000 a year have lost their job. So stressing out every family that is least in a position to suffer that challenge. And we are with a president right now who really does not believe in the Constitution. He doesn't believe in the we the people vision, which is why he's so profoundly engaged in voter suppression, including attacking the ability to vote by mail. We have a president who doesn't believe in the checks and balances of the Constitution, which is why he's attacking the whistleblowers, why he's attacking the inspector generals. It's why he's proceeding to basically refused to let Congress oversee the executive branch by blocking both documents and testimony from people who serve in the administration. This is the imperial presidency that our founders were terrified of. The temptation to try to take the powers of the executive branch and turn it more into a kingship beyond the reach of law or accountability. And what have we seen? A president who endorses ripping children out of their parents' arms at the border, who repeatedly has campaigned to shut down the ACA, which would inflict healthcare trauma on millions and millions of America. A president who championed the theft of a Supreme Court seat. The first time in our history, the Senate hasn't debated and voted on a nominee. And why? In order to turn the Supreme Court into a 9-member super legislature for the powerful. And this is a president who sent the secret police to Portland, Oregon with no agency ID or individual identifier and started grabbing people off the streets and throwing them unmarked vans like he was Putin in Russia or Erdogan in Turkey or Duterte in the Philippines. This is a man who championed a $2 trillion tax cut with virtually all the benefits going to the richest Americans instead of investing in healthcare and housing and education. So here's the mission statement for the next, well, what are we down to, 79 days? It's very few, 2.5 months. Our mission statement, dump Trump, ditch Mitch, save America. 6 simple words to put America back on track. And the people to do it, to lead this effort, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. You know, Joe Biden, born in Scranton, has that ability to connect with people across the spectrum in America. And Kamala, who proceeds to understand the values of our nation from someone who was the first generation born here and has experienced these freedoms in contrast to where she came from, which were a very different set of dynamics. There is something about this combination that just absolutely thrills me. The two are not anything alike, and that's something beautiful, but together they're more powerful than the sum of the two. So this is something we can really celebrate and advocate for and get behind. And the result is we are going to drive not just a defeat of Trump, but a repudiation of Trumpism in all of its manifestations. So I am incredibly excited about that part of our mission, but that isn't our complete mission. I mentioned ditch Mitch, Mitch McConnell. Who has done more to damage the Senate as an institution than Mitch McConnell? You know, right now, we are in a situation where the rules of the Senate are rigged for the powerful. It's a simple majority vote for the Republicans to drive through a tax cut for the rich. It is a simple majority to pack the court. They used the nuclear option to change 30 hours of consideration for court nominee to 2 hours so they could do 8 court packing nominations in a day. So the Senate is rigged. And if we are in the majority, which we must get into the majority, then we are going to face, under the current rules, the McConnell veto. That is, policy that we're driving can be vetoed by McConnell under the current rules. We have to eliminate that. You know, Mitch McConnell has been very pleased to say that he's turned the Senate into the graveyard for all the wonderful bills coming over from the House. I have a feeling that Representative Pramila will say, hey, we don't want the Senate to be a graveyard. We want it to lead on half of these vision and complete the other half sent to us by the House. And so that's why I'm arguing that we absolutely have to win a majority in the Senate and unrig the Senate. If anything, it should be rigged for the people, not rigged for the powerful. Everything we're thinking about right now, we're thinking about housing. We're thinking about immigration. We're thinking about healthcare. We're thinking about better education. We're thinking about a public safety system in this country that delivers justice equally and treats people equally across the spectrum. A massive transformation. And we're talking about equality for the LGBTQ community. It was quite a few years ago that I wrote and introduced the Equality Act in the Senate and stood next to John Lewis to launch it. And I just stood there and thought, how did this son of a blue collar mill worker end up standing next to a champion of civil rights like John Lewis? And it started here in Oregon with our Equality Act. And then it started with Ted Kennedy saying, you all did it in Oregon, do it for the nation on my Employment Non-Discrimination Act. And we passed it in the Senate, and it didn't pass the House because it was under Republican control. And now we have to pass the Equality Act. But each and every one of these things we want to do, we will not get done if McConnell has a veto. So we have to fight for that majority, but an effective majority. And then let's not forget about climate. I have to pull out my hat every now and then, make the earth cool again, because we are past time to be able to drive this transition to renewable energy. We cannot tell our grandchildren, we're sorry, we didn't save the earth because Mitch McConnell had the McConnell veto over the good works when we were in charge. So I've been encouraging folks previous to COVID to think about voting early in our vote by mail system that we have in our 2 states, and then travel to Maine and travel to North Carolina and travel to Iowa and travel to Colorado, travel to Arizona, travel to Montana, travel to South Carolina, travel to Georgia, travel to Kentucky to help win not just the presidential race, but those key Senate races. Now, of course, you can't travel, but you can get engaged with a texting campaign or a mail campaign. We launched Oregon Big Send just a few weeks ago, and already 10,000 letters have been written by Oregonians to people who will be voting in those other key states to encourage them to actually vote, show up, and make a difference. Because we're at that moment, one of those moments in history where everyone has to be on the battlefield. Everyone has to be fully engaged. It's our time, it's our resources, it's our voice, it's our teamwork that is going to save this country and put America in leadership of helping save our planet and democracy around the world. So we've got a lot of work to do in these 80 days. I hope 80 days is right. I'm not positive. I wanted to put a countdown clock on my smartphone, but I haven't done it yet. It's not very long. And this delegation, this team from Washington and Oregon, we share so much in common here in the Pacific Northwest. What we're now going to share in common is a passionate, determined, affecting, overwhelming effort to absolutely repudiate Trumpism, elect Joe Biden, elect Kamala Harris, elect a majority to Senate, unrig the Senate, partner with the House, and do all of these good works we're fighting for. Let's go do it. And thank you so much.
Senator Merkley, this is Rosa Colquitt. How wonderful to see you 2 times on one day earlier today for the taping, for the roll call taping, and again today in this wonderful Washington, Oregon party. I thank you for those words. I especially thank you for once again admonishing us about the dual virus that we face, not just COVID-19, but the virus of racism, as we think about all the various options and all the work that we have in front of us for election 2020. So much appreciated. To those who I haven't met, my name again is Rosa Colquitt. I am the co-chair of the Oregon delegation to the Democratic National Convention. I am also the admin for Oregon Women for Biden 2020, an activity that I'm just elated to be involved with. And I am also the chair of Oregon's Black Caucus. So it's not like I don't have enough stuff going on, but it's great to be involved in all of these different activities. In thanking Senator Merkley, I would be remiss not to remind all of you that as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, women's right to vote, but not technically the Black suffragists until 1965 with the Voting Rights Act, which we once again find ourselves in peril of as we face voter suppression going into election 2020. I certainly heed Senator Merkley's words, vote early, make sure that your ballot is there, make sure that your vote counts, because we're once again looking at, I think we're now calling it the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, as we continue to need these special activities to protect the rights of voters, particularly voters of color. And now I would like to ask all of you, each and every one of you, to tune into organizing opportunities for election 2020. There are a lot of you, if I'm looking at my screen correctly, at the Zoom party today. So we're letting you know about all these different opportunities. And I think Jonathan is going to put up some slides, and they are for both Oregon and the Washington websites. I encourage your participation, and I thank you ahead of time for the good work that's going to be underway as we head into Decision 2020. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Rosa. And you're a tremendous leader for our delegation along with Travis. So now's the part where we split out. We have public viewing, and we have an event that can be seen later too. So before we go, I want to absolutely emphasize to everybody, this is your election to win. Make a plan. If anybody who's done any field work before, I know many of you delegates have, obviously, but for folks that have turned in for the first time, so some of the messaging we use is like, make a plan to vote. Well, make a plan to volunteer. Look at those schedules tonight. Check out your local candidates. Check out the targeted races in Oregon, Washington, whether you want to help out with Oregon SOS, Shamia Fagan's race, congressional CD4 Representative Pete DeFazio, Carolyn Long in the Couve, Vancouver, USA. Check out something you want to really get involved with. Make a plan to do some work. And there's plenty of stuff to do, and the horizon's only expanded for you. So thank you, folks, that non-delegate folks who have joined us tonight. I hope you join more events through this week, and please, please, please sign up for now until Election Day, because they've been talking about 80 days, 79 days, whatever it is, 2 months. It's 2 months until ballots drop in Washington, Oregon. It's getting tight. So let's rock and roll. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our amazing operations director of the Democratic Party of Oregon, Candy Emmons, who will explain the technology of the breakout